really felt good about that, and was excited for our players. I thought some guys, there were some individual efforts out there. Obviously, Shaq Barrett really stepped up and made some plays, especially when we really needed it, and I thought that was good to see. We did get some explosive plays on offense, which is a step in the right direction, and Garrett Grayson, I thought, played a pretty steady ball game, and I think the numbers, proved out. He's not taking sacks. He's not throwing it to the other team. He's given us an opportunity to be successful, and seeing guys maybe catch the ball. Still like to have a couple drops back, but overall I think we're getting a lot more consistent, and that's huge. So, coming out of the game, obviously Bernard Blake had a scary situation. He was released on Saturday. He's very sore. Came to stretch and run yesterday, which was great to see, and I think more so from a symbolic standpoint, for our team to see him there, I think was really good. With this week off, we'll continue and see where that's going to be as we move forward. But feel good about where he's at right now. Deontay Clyburn, who was off to a really good start at linebacker in that game, tweaked a leg a little bit. We're going to have to see where that is probably on Wednesday when we get all the results back and see how long that's going to be out. But he won't practice, at least for the first couple practices this week. Nolan Peralta got his eggs scrambled a little bit on one of the first kickoff returns, and so obviously the precautionary thing there is to hold him until his results are right. Should get a little bit, see a little bit where we're at with Jordan Vaden this week. Looking forward to hopefully getting him back the following week of practice as we head in, which will be much needed. The same with Charles Lovett, and then other than that, Max Morgan on that shoulder that he kind of had, obviously ended up having to play a bunch more plays than what we anticipated, but never seemed to bother him, which was really comforting to see. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Willie Udofia, one of our receivers, banged up a foot, and we aren't quite sure where that's at, but obviously we'll have all week to get that healed. So, what we try to accomplish is we really need to work on ourselves right now. We need to work some situations. We need to work against each other. We'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with a good morning run and lift on Friday. Give the guys the weekend to kind of relax and catch their breath as we go into the conference stretch of our schedule, and there won't be any looking ahead to the next game. It's about what we need to do to shore up the things as a football team. A lot of work against each other, similar to spring ball, with a lot of drill work in special teams, which again I think has really made some big strides for us this year, and I'm really proud of the way those guys are playing and how hard they're playing on those special teams. So with that, take any questions.
The fine line for you, for coaching staff on bye week, is let them rest and get things corrected, correct?
Yeah.
Because you look at your practice schedules, I think you're an hour and a half, 2 hours. Shorter practices. I mean, how hard is that to balance, really, with what you want as a coach?
It is, and obviously our guys are, for the majority, are all out recruiting. Most of them left yesterday to get into place, so they had today and tomorrow. So the Tuesday practice, part of that being short, is they're going to get stuck with me, and I don't think they want that for a full practice. So I'm going to let them, but it will be fun. I actually, as a head coach, really look forward to the buys, not for the time off, but the fact the other coaches aren't here. I get an opportunity to get my hands a little more dirty and maybe get some angst out at some positions. And so I'm sure our guys are looking forward to that. Can't wait for the position coaches to get back.
Are there certain positions you'll kind of take over?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
Or do you want to not ruin
let's just let that happen.
Okay.
I'm really excited about it though. I've been writing notes all day yesterday and have some nice cut-ups and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Is the full staff back for Wednesday?
For Wednesday, we may be one short, I believe it is, based on a flight schedule to be able to get back. But yeah, Wednesday, and then obviously everybody for Thursday. And we'll have a pretty extensive scrimmage at the end of the Thursday practice with a lot of the guys who aren't getting a ton of reps right now. Get those guys back in the
How many
groove.
states do you guys fanning out to?
Whew. You know, mostly, obviously, we were all in state, and we'll be in state again on Friday. And then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different states. You know, a couple of those in and outs that we have some previous relationships, and we want to make sure the evaluations are right.
When you work with players this week, will it be more of a detail-oriented?
Really more fundamentally, you know, this
okay.
is the step that needs to be taken. In other words, and you know, hand placement. You know, some of those things that are, you know, we say are kind of elementary, but we need to make sure that we're focusing on that because, you know, a couple of the penalties we had. I mean, you know, it's unacceptable, and it's because, you know, we didn't do the proper things with our hands and our footwork. And yet, you can't let yourself fall back into that. You know, it's the honing of that. And then a lot of the fundamentals in special teams, you know, what we call lions and gazelles, or ram drill, a lot of those type of things that we'll try to focus on.
When you go back, as you move forward, what you want to work on, are there certain target areas that you feel like really have to be addressed this week as you move into conference play?
Yeah, I really do. I think on offense, you know, a lot of the things that we need to do are going back to details of little things like splits, you know, proper hand placement, you know, in the run game up front, you know, the details of the catch and then the transition thereafter. Defensively, you know, we need to continue to work on our pass rush up front, more so from the standpoint of keeping contained, because guys, we're starting to head into a phase now where we're going to see some quarterbacks that can hurt you if you're not disciplined in your lanes. And we had pretty good lane distribution outside, and then this last week we gave up, you know, that interior pocket, which, you know, if we do that to some of these other guys, you know, they're going to run crazy on us. So I think it's pretty important we handle that.
With the pass rush, 8 sacks for you guys this year, with Shaq has 6.5 of those. How much is that is him carrying or load, or are people pushing, you know,
Yeah.
his direction?
I think a lot of it has to do with what some of the other guys are doing. And, you know, he should have, I'll just be straight up, he should have had a couple more in the first game, but got himself out of position because he was trying to do too much. And I think he learned from that. But I think, obviously, with the other guys creating some pocket push, you know, and spitting the guys to him, you know, I think the thing that he's got to be prepared for now is guys chipping on him, you know, maybe always trying to get another body there to his side, which we need some guys on the other side now to step up, you know, while they're worried about Shaq. So that's something that I think's got to happen.
Does that come with the territory of leading the nation in sacks? Is that like people are going to scout you a little differently?
I would. You know, I wouldn't let the guy, you try not to let, you know, the guy that's creating things, you know, impact the game. as much as you can, and so I'm sure he'll, whether it's a back going to that side and getting a chip before he gets out, or they motion a tight end and maybe take a chip on the way out just to take the edge off it. But that being said, then we need to, get something out of the other guys too from a pressure standpoint.
How nice of that was for you to see a leader actually take the team, take that moment upon himself, because you haven't seen that a lot lately.
No.
How nice was it, and how much of a learning moment was it for the rest of your team?
It's what I was really kind of happy is they accepted the challenge. In other words, things were going pretty good right before half, and then you give up a couple big ones, you put the ball on the ground. I mean, all the things that can happen that just says the wheels are coming off, and how do we put them back on? And the challenge that I saw from our guys on the sideline, each other, challenging each other, not in a negative way, but in a match my intensity way. And I think Shaq really did that through his actions, and that elevated the whole team.
Well, like I said, you haven't seen that a lot around here.
No.
Really. You need somebody, it has to happen the first time really for it to happen again.
Yeah.
So how good was that for it to happen, and it didn't matter who it was?
Yeah, and it goes back to building a program, and it goes back to building a character within the program. And, as I've said, I've seen a lot of good things happen. And this is another step when it comes to the playing of the game and the need to understand, look, go win this play. Just go win this play. And you know what, Shaq really did that on a couple of those.
Bernard Blake, second guy to, the season really go to the hospital. What's that do to a team just mentally?
Yeah, I mean, it deflated all of us. I mean, guys, look, I'm human too. I mean, I was affected because he's a special guy that I've seen probably take so many strides in a positive way, just in his life in general. And it's really translated, onto the field. And so, to see that happen, I was fairly comfortable, kind of because he was moving, I mean, it always sits in the back of your mind whenever you see something like that. So I think it had a real effect on a lot of guys. And yet, I think once they got over the initial part, knew that he was probably going to be all right, you saw some guys raise their level.
How much were you running and lifting could you participate in yesterday?
I know he was just there. He walked some of the striders, but and until I see tomorrow, obviously today is their day off, so I haven't seen any of them, as far as today goes. So.
How good was this game the way it played out for your team? Because you've been talking to us about we're not good enough to get away with stuff. So you had the great start. You didn't get away with some stuff in the middle.
Right.
But then you showed some moxie coming back. Do you think it was good in the way it played out for your team to see who they really are and what they need to do to be successful?
You know what I think it really did is show us, again, what we're capable of and what we're capable of, if that makes sense. So if we're not willing to have that mindset from start to finish, being able to overcome negatives, I think, is huge. And I thought we did that. But it also showed when we're not right on the attention to detail, you're going to give up some explosive plays. And you've got to compete. You don't know when the play's going to occur. So there will be a lot of good learning from this film on both sides of that. And again, I feel like, and there at the end we were getting guys in the game. We probably, gave up too many, you know what I'm saying? But you know what? Those guys got to shut them down. You know, and I'm not accepting that. And so they'll hear about it. That's why I'm excited I get to coach him this week.
Last week you talked about Bibbs, you were want him to focus on the little details rather than trying to be explosive. He had some big plays during the game Saturday.
Right.
Is that a result of him?
Yeah, it is a result of him taking care of details that enabled him to make those explosive plays. And part of that is the footwork matching in the run game, matching the O-line and being exact in what you're doing. And then once you're finding it, now being able to use your explosive playmaking ability. But you got to get to that point first. And I thought he did that. I thought he did a really good job of being patient to the hole and explosive through the hole, which is something that he's shown glimpses of. And now we just need, this will be a great week for him to see where that consistency, keeps moving.
Do you like the breakup of your schedule, the fact that you got all 5 of your non-conference games out of the way, and now the rest of your season you're going to focus on Mountain West play?
Yeah, and yet, when you talk about scheduling, a lot of it's out of your control. But at the same time, this was something that we kind of looked at in breaking your season up into kind of 3 parts. And the first part is over. We're nowhere where we expected to be, and disappointed because of that. But I do think that we have come a long ways and really learned some valuable lessons in this first part. Now, how we go into the conference and then the back conference is kind of how you kind of break it up. And it's very important that we get off to a good start at home. I thought the fans that were there were great. Thought they were into it. Look forward to getting more students there. As we create a little buzz ourselves, and I think that our guys are playing right now inspired football, and something that I think the people that are at the games see and respect, and that's part of what we have to do.
It's interesting because the SEC is famous for late non-conference games.
Yeah, they always try to put their one in there. It's usually before the rivalry week. They try to get that.
Right. But you can't necessarily just go ahead and do that because of the conference schedule.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, they
Did
hold
you like that?
they hold a little bit bigger stick than we do.
Yeah. Did you like that though with the late?
I actually, where it fell for us, where I was at, was before the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
And that one, that was a pretty big ball game, and so it always, it kind of helped, except the one year Georgia Southern came in and they're running triple, and we had to hold on. So.
You talk about fans who are there. There's quite a few who haven't been there. Less than 20,000. Does that surprise you that Ag Day you get less than 20?
I like I said, it's up to me. I take that upon myself. We've got to put something out there that people are proud to come watch and be a part of. And the guys that were the people there are fantastic. They're into the game. They're helping our guys on third downs. It's part of the growing process. And we'll get them there.
In that same way, you guys played your 2 best games at home. You're 2-0 at home.
Yeah, we got a pretty good little win streak going.
Right.
Maybe we ought to close the doors.
Keep them in, right?
That's right.
You're playing inspired football.
Yeah, this is a fun team. Yeah.
How can you sell it to the town and get that first tee?
Yeah, again, that comes with winning, and that's what I was brought here to do. But I was also brought here to win correctly, and that's one thing we are doing. And it's going to take some time, and we've got to build trust. We've got to do a lot of things from that standpoint. I think the 1:30 games in the afternoon help. Obviously the first game you had something horrific going on out there with the flooding. So I think that's an aberration actually. But I was happy to see what we were able to do for those people who came to the game. You know, give them something to get their mind off of the things around them for that 3.5, 4 hours.
Jim, there's a lot of coaches around the country who love to have 2 tight ends like you have.
Yeah.
How are you providing that playing time? I know you've got Yvonne that takes you back a little bit, but how's that working out?
You know, it's been, it's a great problem to have, but our best personnel group is what we call silver, which is 12, 2 tight ends, 2 wideouts, and 1 running back. And you know, with that, there's a lot of snaps for the 2 of them, sometimes to the point where maybe they, you know, get pretty tired, you know, but like I tell them, look, it's better than the alternative. You go over there and sit and watch, you know. But you know, it's something that we need to continually make sure we're striving to get them involved, you know, in the package with get-it-tos. But they're kind of responsible for a little bit too for doing the right thing, you know, and being in position to get that.
Is that your best personnel grouping because of their talents?
Yeah.
Or do you just?
No, because of their talent. Look, these are 2 guys. The tight end position is really, as you look across what you see now, it's kind of a lost art. You know, there aren't a ton of those guys out there. And it's just, I think, has more to do with the direction that football's going right now. So for us, it really gives us, I think, an advantage, especially in the run game, when you're able to balance up a front, you know, with 2 tight ends, and then create an extra gap that they've got to defend. And then with those guys being able to cut off, and be physical at the point of attack, you know, that gives you some flexibility offensively.
Is Cartwright coming on a little bit?
Yeah, he really is doing a.
What's he doing better now than last year?
You know, what he's doing right now is pointing at, or blocking at the point of attack. Or last year he was more backside. He's actually done some really good things at the point of attack. Has, you know, become detailed with his technique of and not getting sloppy with his hands, and I'd say that's where he's starting to become a complete player.
Do you have a pleasant problem coming up when you finally get Lovett, who's your leading receiver last year, healthy, and get him in the game, Baden healthy, and seeing the way that Richard has come on the last couple of weeks, and Joe when he's healthy? That's the receiving core you kind of hoped you had at the beginning of the year.
Right.
Would it give you some more options?
I think it will. I really do. I think it will, and you know, keep some guys fresh. You know, there's times right now where, you know, you're going 7, 8 plays in a row, and you know, you know, that's tough when you're asking them, you know, for a dead ass sprint. You know, every time they come out of the blocks, and so being able to do that, you know, something that we need to do. Plus, you know, it gives us, you know, some more explosive playmakers.
How was this year? A lot of points scored. Is this starting to look to you kind of like the old WAC?
Yeah, you know, I was wondering, it was interesting. I mean, when you start to look at some of the scores and see where things are headed, I mean, holy mackerel. It's kind of scary. And yet, you know, I think back even when it was in the Big Sky Conference days where, you know, 50 was never enough. You know, that's kind of what you got to think.
Or is it the offenses, or is it the lack of defense?
You know, it's hard to say, and you know, for me personally, we haven't seen a lot of film on, because, you know, everything's been non-conference, so you haven't, you know, gotten any of your real opponents in the breakdown other than New Mexico, who, you know, what they're doing offensively is, you know, they're putting points and numbers up now. So, and that's a credit to the I think the scheme that they're in, but and a quarterback there that can produce. So, what I think it is what we talked about early in the year. I think it's the quarterback play and what that's generating at the different schools, because there's some talent at that position, and you know, you got a good guy there, you got a chance now to do a lot of things.
Yeah, Air Force
Yeah, that's right.
Does this week give you a little time to kind of check up on the league?
Absolutely. One of the things we started after we finished up yesterday was now getting as much film gathered as we work towards opponents to kind of see exactly what is going on. And, it starts with San Jose, obviously, but we actually try to work backwards, as we move through this week, just to kind of give ourselves, if there may be some things we need to work on Wednesday and Thursday of this week from a scheme standpoint, to give our guys a step ahead for whatever opponent it might be.
Coach, published the other day was a Wall Street Journal article on the stadium, Colorado State Stadium.
Yeah, you want to know scary when you're talking to a football coach here, and you get called from the Wall Street Journal, I was like, wait a minute, you got the wrong number here.
So obviously you read it then.
I haven't read it,
Okay.
no.
So in the article she kind of.
Why would I read the Wall Street? I mean, I have.
Well, it wasn't that Colorado State.
I mean, it wasn't like the sporting news caught on the fly like I used to read when I was a kid. You know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, that was the most important part right after I read all the box scores of the baseball games.
Well, it's interesting. She encapsulated the environment of the stadium issue pretty well, including the opposition. Do you think that you guys need to win to help gain?
Oh, I think
support for
absolutely.
that stadium?
Yeah, I think that's part of the job. I've said that, from the get-go. But I also know we've got to win right. Okay, and I also know, you take shortcuts, it's going to crumble at the end now, and that's something I refuse to do and won't do. And I think you can see that in the way our guys are playing. So, but yeah, I think that's obviously a part of it. Yeah.
Playing on the field, Wes, do you feel like your team is in a good spot heading into conference play?
I do. I think they're at a good spot to maybe reflect on reasons why something happened or something didn't happen. And I think that is what we need to do a really good job of. And as we reflect, let's get it corrected.
You did say you might work on you won't work on San Jose State per se this week.
No.
But you might go back and work on all the triple option stuff, which you can see a couple more times this year, just to get that recall when it comes up Air Force/New Mexico week.
Exactly.
Anything
And
else
then,
like that?
the pistol stuff again, which we worked on a little bit in the spring, from our own offense, but not the true option part and the read part of the
Right.
pistol. So, that's something we'll need to hit pretty hard on here. And Boise's doing a lot of that. So, there's some carryover, in those things that we'll need to do. And it isn't necessarily defining the opponent, but working against the scheme.
Two guys got fired today.
Yeah.
Is that kind of gonna be a trend? Usually in colleges, mid-season firings.
Yeah, it just makes me sick, 'cause you feel so bad for the players and the families, of the coaches. It's just a hard time, and I think one of the things maybe you see is when somebody does do it, then maybe somebody else is out there saying, see, they did it, why can't we? Obviously not close to either situation, so I really don't know. It's
You see it
hard.
as a trend on mid-season stuff? I mean, is that gonna be the way of the world?
Heading into a bye week.
Jack Graham's not here, so.
You
I saw
sure?
him leave
Wait, he was out?
He was in the parking lot, he drove off.
Thanks. But, God, trend, I don't know. It's hard. I sure hope not.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks.
That's good.
So you think it's scary getting a call from the Wall Street Journal? It's probably scarier getting off the plane at 3:45 in the morning and have your AD there to meet you.
Yeah.
That was tough.